Hello everybody, in this video we'll be taking a look at each of these states, trying to see if it's gerrymandered towards Democrats, gerrymandered towards Republicans, or if the map overall is fair according to the 2024 cycle of the House of Representatives. We're just going to go alphabetical order from each state. So starting off in Alabama, there were 2 Democrat seats there and 5 Republican ones, so overall that's a fair map. Alaska, there's only 1 seat, so that one's a fair map. In Arizona, this one, there were several seats that were close, but overall, Republicans have 6 seats while Democrats have 3. But taking a look at the county, most of them are red, but Democrats should have been able to maybe get one of these other ones, but I mean, the closer districts were close, but they were just slightly favored for Republicans, so I'm going to say that one's slightly gerrymandered towards the GOP, but not too much. In the state of Arkansas, there's not many blue areas here. In the Little Rock area, they already contained that into a red district, the whole county, so there's not much they can do to get a blue district there, so Arkansas is a pretty fair map. And the state of California, this one is overall gerrymandered towards the Democrats. As you can see here, 43 of the seats out of 52 total are blue. And there's plenty of red areas in the state. I mean, there's a decent amount of blue areas, but some red areas too. And get it, it's 60.48% blue, but 43 out of 52 is like 70 some percent or 80 some percent blue. So overall, California is gerrymandered towards the Democrats. State of Colorado, this one's actually a pretty fair map here, because in Colorado there's a total of 8 districts, and 2 of them are slightly competitive. This 3rd district is fairly close, but the Republicans are able to win it, and this 8th district barely flipped towards Republicans this year when it was blue last year in 2022. So Colorado overall is a fair map. In the state of Connecticut, this one is slightly gerrymandered towards the Democrats. Most areas in the state are blue. However, though, there's some areas that are slightly red. There's a couple red counties and municipalities, so they should be able to have one of these districts that at least lean a little bit towards Republicans. So I will say Connecticut is slightly gerrymandered for the Democrats. State of Delaware, that one's a fair map, only 1 seat there. State of Florida, this one is gerrymandered towards the Republicans. As you can see here in the state of Florida, there are 20 Republican seats here and only 8 Democratic seats. Most areas in the state is red, but there are several blue areas like Fort Lauderdale area and Orlando area is slightly blue. Those areas are pretty blue in the state, but they can have a little bit more Democratic seats in order not to be gerrymandered, but overall Florida is Republican gerrymandered. Georgia is also Republican gerrymandered here. There's a lot of rural areas, but there's also the suburbs of Atlanta and just the Atlanta area in general. They can probably draw another district or 2 there to make the map a little more fair. But many of these rural areas have maps where there's 9 Republicans and 5 Democrats in a fairly close state, so should be pretty closer than that. So that one's gerrymandered towards Republicans. State of Hawaii, there's 2 districts there, but every county there is blue. It's fair map. It's a fair map there. Illinois, this state is gerrymandered towards the Democrats. There are plenty of red areas in this state. I get it, Chicago, that's the bulk of the state, but they have too many districts drawn here in Chicago. See, there's way too many there. And Democrats have a whole 14 seats, while Republicans only have 3, and those 3 Republican seats are very dark red. While there's only one of these seats that are like somewhat competitive, but still likely blue. Like that's gerrymandered to Democrats, and there doesn't need to be as many Chicago districts here, because 14 out of 17 is like 82 or 83% blue, and seen from here, that is not very blue at all. On the presidential level, it was Harris plus 11 or something like that, so should be plenty more Republican districts here. In the state of Indiana, that one's overall a fair map. There's only 2 blue areas in the state here, just the Indianapolis area and up there in the top left corner, which they give blue districts for both of those, so that one's overall a fair map. Iowa, this one is slightly gerrymandered towards Republicans. Most of the state is rural and not too many blue areas, but even though that first district there is really close, yeah, it's super close, but they could draw in more of the bluer areas into one of these districts to have it blue. So yeah, that one is slightly gerrymandered towards Republicans. State of Kansas, that one's a fair map overall. There's the Johnson County area. That's pretty much the only blue area of the state, while just about every other county is red on the left and the middle of the state. So they give one blue district for that. So that's a pretty fair map. State of Kentucky, this one's also a fair map. Just about every county there is red, while there's one district there that's blue, which covers the blue county. So that's fair map overall. Louisiana is also a fair map where there's 2 Democratic districts there while the rest are Republican. State of Maine, this one's also fairly drawn map here because the first district is solidly blue and the second district is slightly more competitive. It leans more red on the presidential level, but if you run a really good Democrat like Jared Golden, who's favorable up there in the second district, he can win. State of Maryland, this one is slightly gerrymandered towards the Democrats. As you can see here in the state of Maryland, Republicans only have 1 of these seats. 7 out of 8 of these go towards the Democrats. And on this upper part of the state, there's plenty of red area they could draw better to be able to be more of a competitive or a red-leaning district. That one on the top left. Instead of drawing it all the way down to these blue counties, they could have it just straight up across. So that one's slightly gerrymandered towards Democrats. The state of Massachusetts, this one's overall a fair map. You might think, oh, because there's 9 whole districts here that are blue, that is gerrymandered towards Democrats. But the only thing is, every single county in this state is blue. So there's no way really to draw a red district here. So Massachusetts, that's overall fair map. Same goes with the state of Michigan. This one in 2022, Democrats had 1 extra seat than Republicans, but in 2024, Republicans were able to flip that 7th district here, and it was a pretty competitive district. And District 10, that one's also pretty competitive, so I'd say this state is drawn pretty fairly here. And Minnesota, that one's also fairly drawn overall. 4 of the districts here go towards the Republicans, while 4 of them go to Democrats. And a couple of these Republican ones are slightly closer, but percentage-wise, it's really close here, so fair map there. State of Mississippi, that one's also a fair map overall, because looking here, we have 1 Democrat district while 3 of them are red, and the state is a whole lot more red overall, so that's fairly drawn here. State of Missouri, that one's also fairly drawn overall because most of this state is very rural there's only a couple blue counties with St. Louis and Kansas City, which they give blue districts to that area, to those two areas there. So that covers it pretty well. State of Montana, that one's also fairly drawn overall. Most of the state is red. There's only a few blue counties towards the left of the state. The first district there is pretty fairly drawn because it's somewhat competitive here, but red leaning overall. Let's see, most of these counties here are red here, so that's a pretty fairly drawn state there. Nebraska, that one overall I would say is fair too. Even though you might say, oh, all three districts are red, that is not fair. Well, that second district there actually includes the whole thing of Douglas County, which is the bluest county in the state, while the rest of the state is red. There might be a couple more blue counties that are just barely blue, but they don't have a huge population there, so. And Harris was able to win that second district on the presidential level, so it's kind of similar to Maine, where Donald Trump won the second district, but the House Representative Jared Golden was able to win there. Same goes with Nebraska. On the presidential level, Harris was able to win, but since they ran a very good Republican there that's favorable towards the second district, Don Baker was able to win there, so Democrats are capable of winning the second district, but it just depends on the candidates there. So overall, a fair map there. State of Nevada is gerrymandered towards Democrats. As you can see in this state, 3 out of 4 of the districts are blue. And this state is very 50-50. I get it, this independent party, but overall, looking here in 2022, you can see it was pretty 50-50. Republicans had a slight narrow advantage there, but most of the state is red. Washoe County is typically a little blue, while Clark County is blue, but it's trending towards the right. But as you can see, these 3 blue districts are all about the same. They're like a low likely blue. Maybe one of them is a lean blue, but they should be able to have one of these districts more competitive instead of just left leaning or blue leaning. So Nevada should be 50-50, pretty close, but because it's not, it's gerrymandered towards Democrats. State of New Hampshire, this one I would say is slightly gerrymandered towards the Democrats. As you can see in this state, there are a decent amount of red counties in this state. Can't pull it up right now, but looking at these municipalities, this right district here, they should be able to draw more Republican friendly, or at least more competitive, because the way this is drawn is 2 left-leaning districts to where they're both just slightly red. That one's likely red because Chris Pappas is a pretty good candidate there, and this district is about a likely blue here. So both districts are about the same amount blue if it's a neutral environment there. So they should be able to draw one that's maybe right leaning and the other one left leaning. That would be more of a fair map, even though the state leans more left. I'd still say it's slightly gerrymandered towards the Democrats. New Jersey is gerrymandered towards the Democrats a good bit. There are so many blue districts in this state and there's only a few red ones here. Yeah, 9 Democrat ones and 3 Republican ones. And this state is under 10 points now. Almost under 5 points, even on the presidential level. And then a whole 9 out of 12 districts are blue. Yeah, that one's gerrymandered for Democrats. New Mexico is also gerrymandered to Democrats here. We look at the second district especially. That one went blue. The first district is only barely as safe, and the third district is barely safe. They're very similar, the first and third district, and then that second district, they try to squeeze in as many blue counties as they could here to where it's still barely left leaning. Even though Trump barely won this district, still not enough right leaning to be considered a fair map here. in a state that's not but so blue. I would say for a fair map, there should be 2 blue districts and one that's like right leaning. That would be a fair map there. New York is gerrymandered towards Democrats as of 2024. In 2022, it wasn't so gerrymandered there, but after 2022, they were able to redraw the map slightly in certain areas, like up there, which caused 2 of those seats to flip blue there. And now Democrats have 19 out of 26 seats here, and only 57% of the state is blue on here. So there should be a couple more red seats here, or at least slightly more competitive instead of just left-leaning. So New York is gerrymandered towards Democrats. North Carolina is gerrymandered to Republicans as of 2024. In 2022, they actually had a fair map here with 7 Republican seats and 7 Democrat seats. The way it was redrawn there, 2 of them flipped blue. That 13th district was probably slightly left-leaning, but Republicans could possibly win it if they had a good chance. But 2024, all 3 of these seats, they flipped red, and they were definitely red districts there. In the 1st district, Don Davis was still able to narrowly hold on, even though they gerrymandered it, and Trump was able to win that district. But candidate like Don Davis was very favorable here, was able to improve in these counties enough to win here. But still, nonetheless, North Carolina is gerrymandered to Republicans. North Dakota is just 1 district, and Ohio is gerrymandered towards Republicans slightly. Most of the state is red, according to counties and just areas of the state. But there are a few blue areas like Cincinnati and Columbus. So those areas are actually blue in the state. And Republicans have 10 out of 15 there. That's about 66%. So overall, just slightly gerrymandered towards Republicans. Oklahoma is overall a fair map here. On the presidential level, every county here is red. Oklahoma City is the closest of flipping blue or being blue. So that area, it was definitely not enough to draw a blue district there as of now. So Oklahoma is fairly drawn. Oregon, I would say, is gerrymandered towards Democrats because Republicans only have 1 seat here as of now. That 4th district there, no, it's not the 5th. That 5th district here is overall left-leaning. In 2022, Lori Chavez de Rimmer was able to barely win there, but it flipped blue this time, mainly because of the way they drew the one and only red district in this state. Looking here, it's decent amount red, but there's enough red area to where they could have 2 red districts, but instead they have 5 blue and 1 red. So that's gerrymandered to Democrats. Pennsylvania overall is a fair map. In 2022, Democrats had 1 extra seat than Republicans in this state. But in 2024, 2 of the seats here flipped red, but they're fairly close. There's 3 competitive seats here. So fair map overall in Pennsylvania. Rhode Island, that's a fair map there. There's 2 districts there, but the whole state is blue. South Carolina is gerrymandered towards Republicans. As you can see here, the state is about 60% red on here, but there's a decent amount of blue counties in this state. As you can see here, they should be able to have about 2 blue districts and then maybe 1 competitive one if they wanted a fair map here. But instead, there's only 1 blue district while the rest of them are red. So South Carolina is gerrymandered towards Republicans. South Dakota is only 1 district, so it's fair map. Tennessee, I would say, is slightly gerrymandered towards Republicans. Overall, the state is really red. There's only a couple blue areas like Memphis and Nashville. The Memphis area has a blue district, but Nashville used to have one that was blue, but now they drew 3 districts with parts of Nashville to be red, so that part is gerrymandered, which they could have one blue district over at the Nashville area and then it wouldn't be gerrymandered, so slightly gerrymandered towards Republicans. The state of Texas is gerrymandered towards Republicans for sure, because there's many areas here that are just red. The state is 58% red, and then 25 out of 38 districts are red too. I mean, there's not so many blue counties, but the urban areas are quite popular and probably can get another blue district or two drawn there, but they draw it alright looking here, but they could draw some more to be a fairer map. Utah, that one is gerrymandered towards Republicans here. Looking here in Utah, there are 4 red districts here, and the Salt Lake City area, they should be able to draw a blue district there, containing Salt Lake City and Summit County. That area can go blue, or at least be a likely blue area. That will be a fairer map there. Vermont is 1 district, so it's fair. Virginia, that one's also a fair map there. Democrats have 1 extra seat than Republicans there. And there's 2 somewhat competitive seats, one of them being slightly right-leaning, one of them slightly left-leaning. This is a pretty fair map here. Washington State, that one's gerrymandered towards the Democrats. Looking here, only 2 seats are red here. Well, that 3rd district there, it's trending somewhat to the left, but the way it was redrawn in 2022 makes it way harder for Republicans to be able to win it. In 2020, that 3rd district contained way more red area here, but 2022 they cut it off and just extended these other 2 to cover the red area, and that 3rd district was bluer. So it is gerrymandered towards Democrats here. West Virginia is a fair map overall. Every county is red there, and there's 2 red districts. And Wisconsin, this state is gerrymandered towards the Republicans for sure. This state should be very 50-50, but instead on the House level, there are so many red districts here. 6 out of 8 of them are red, and there should be closer to 50-50 here. So that one's gerrymandered towards Republicans. Wyoming, that one's a fair map, only 1 seat there. Forgot about Idaho, that one's a fair map. Obviously, 2 districts there. Every county just about, maybe only a couple blue counties, but they're not very populated, so this is the map here. There's a total of 11 gerrymandered towards Democrats and 11 gerrymandered towards Republicans overall. 8 are certainly gerrymandered towards Democrats, while 3 of them are somewhat gerrymandered towards Democrats, and 7 of these are certainly gerrymandered towards Republicans, while 4 of them are somewhat gerrymandered towards Republicans. And then 28 of these seats, or 28 of these states, are drawn overall fairly. So thank y'all everyone for watching. Make sure to like this video and comment down below, subscribe, and let me know what y'all think of how I rated these states. If you think one of these states should have been gerrymandered a particular way, or one of these that I've listed as gerrymandered, you think the map is overall fair, just let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.